In Chapter 8, we're going to talk about hypothesis testing. There's two methods. There's a p-value method and a critical value method. We're going to go over those, but before you do anything, you need to know how to write a claim and the hypothesis, whether it's the null hypothesis or the alternative hypothesis. So, if you look at your 8-step hypothesis testing, this is basically the first 3 steps. And you're going to do these 3 steps the same way, whether you're going to do the p-value method or the critical value method. So your claim is just the claim that they make. So I'm going to look at number 1 on 8.1 homework. It says, most adults would erase all of their personal information online if they could. And then it goes on to say a software firm survey of 577 randomly selected adults showed that 62% of them would erase all of their personal information online if they could. And you're going to complete parts A and B. I just want you to look at the claim. This says most adults would erase all of their personal information online if they could. And then over here, they're giving you a percent. So when you're doing a claim, you're either writing it for proportion, for a mean, or for a standard deviation. In this case, since we're talking about percents, we're going to do it for proportion. And our claim says most adults would erase all of their personal information online if they could. So if you say most adults, that means over 50%. So our original claim is going to say is our proportion is greater than 0.50. That is our original claim. That means that more than half of the population would erase it. Now, the next step is to write the opposite of that claim. So if P is greater than 0.50, the opposite of that is P is less than or equal to 0.50. So our original claim is P is greater than. Opposite that is not only just less than, but it's also equal to. So make sure one of these has to include an equal sign. Now in most of the stats books you see, anytime you have an equal sign, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, or just equal to, they change it to strictly equal to. And that's what our book does. So whichever, whether it's the original claim or the opposite of the claim, whatever inequality this is that has the or equal to, we're going to change it to just equal to. Now that, the one with the equals to, is called your null hypothesis, which is in step 3. The null hypothesis is the symbol HO. That's the null hypothesis is HO or H null. That is always the one with the equals to sign, whether it is the original claim or the opposite. So whether it's step 1 or step 2. And then that means that the alternative hypothesis and some books use H with an A, H sub A. Our book uses H sub 1. So our alternative hypothesis, H sub 1, is going to be the other claim or the other inequality. So this is our null. The only thing that makes it the null is the equals to sign, and the opposite of that is the alternative. So because the null always has the equal to sign, your alternative will always be strictly greater than, it could be a less than, or it could be not equal to. It's never going to have an equal to with it. Now, this problem doesn't ask you to do it, but if we were going to go further and continue on with the hypothesis test, you want to star which one of these was your original claim. So number 1, P is greater than 0.5, ended up being our alternative hypothesis. So put a star by it, just so you know later on which one was the original claim, the null or the alternative. It could be either one. It's just the one that said was stated in the original claim.